Let's move to 7:30 on ABC, Dan Rubenstein.
Let's.
Alabama, Georgia. Georgia right now at time of recording, midday Monday, a 3-point favorite, Dan Rubenstein.
Yeah.
Both teams were on a bye last week. You may recall this game from a year ago. Alabama won. It was in Tuscaloosa, but it was a big win for Kalen DeBoer. On paper, this looks about as close as any matchup I can remember. It looks very close.
Yeah.
You can only get so much from, again, 4 weeks worth of numbers. But from what we have seen so far, Alabama's pretty pass heavy. I don't think we've seen anything reliable from them on the ground. But Georgia's been very gettable through the air, so maybe that plays well for Alabama. And then on the Georgia side, definitely trying to run the ball. They don't profile as a great rushing team. Their rushing attempts work about 50% of the time. But Alabama, notably, has had some trouble with tackling.
Yep.
Their tackling hasn't been great so far this season. So in theory, maybe that works to Georgia's favor. You know, you play physical brand of football. You force the issue on the ground. You make guys tackle in open space, either because you're running the ball or you're trying to do some of those quick hitters to a guy like a Zachariah Branch. Make them tackle you in open space. Maybe that works to their advantage.
Right.
Just some thoughts. Where are you at with this one?
I think I really like Georgia. I think I do.
Really like Georgia?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so obviously in Athens, the way that they found a way, got fortunate in a number of ways to beat Tennessee on the road, but seeing how much more fearless Gunnar Stockton was through the air than I thought he would be in some of those spots, that helped me. I'm not putting a ton of stock in Alabama's win over Wisconsin, especially if Maryland replicated what Alabama did, more or less. Right. I think Alabama's going to play more inspired than what they did against Florida State. I haven't seen Ty Simpson in a spot like this show out. Right. And Alabama can't really run. And they've had offensive line issues. And now they're playing at night in Athens against this front. And I love Ryan Williams. But I don't think this offense is going to specifically try to do with him what Tennessee did with Chris Brazzell. Like, I don't think they're going to just have him go deep for 50-50 balls for 4 quarters. And so I do like Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb and their past of scheming up a passing offense to, take the roof off of teams. I think that was the worst game that Georgia's secondary was going to have, and they've had time to correct things. I don't have the trust in Alabama that I wish I would if I were going to pick them against Georgia on the road in this spot. So there's a lot about Georgia I don't love. I think the offense has been inconsistent this season. I don't like their pass defense, but I still think there are more ways for them to win this game, so I'm going with Georgia.
Ty Simpson, you bring up a good point on Ty Simpson and the Alabama passing offense. It has been more pass heavy. It does look like Georgia is gettable through the air, at least per the numbers, but there has been some time perhaps to correct that. I am curious to see if Georgia blitzes Ty Simpson more than we have seen so far. 2 straight games now for Ty Simpson, where he's been virtually unstoppable. But teams have only been blitzing him about 19% of the time he drops back. You compare that with what Georgia has done so far this season, they blitz about 1/3 of the time.
Yeah.
So they're much more oriented around the blitz than any of the teams that Alabama has faced so far. I think they're going to bring the heat. I think they're going to force the issue. If Alabama wants to stay this pass heavy, Ty Simpson is going to need to play a really, really sound game. And he's going to need to prove that in the face of pressure, he can be as efficient, as reliable, as responsible as he's been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's easy on the road at night against Georgia. So he's got a lot to prove, in my view, in this game. The other thing that I would call out, and you were right to mention this about Georgia with their offense, but I think their effectiveness when they throw the ball is also worth a conversation here.
Agree.
This is not especially explosive when it comes to throwing the football. 77% of their targets have been within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
We have a term for that here on the show. Can you remind the fine folks?
Pickleball.
That is almost the textbook definition of a pickleball passing offense. Now, again, it's early. I don't know if we can take those numbers as gospel at this point.
I don't think we should.
We've also seen Georgia take some shots in key moments, right? Notably, we made a video about the throw from Gunnar Stockton to London Humphreys against Tennessee. That was a big moment. So we're seeing shots. We're also seeing those shots mostly against man coverage. And the reason for that, in my view, is because Georgia still wants to try and run the football. Teams know that Georgia is trying to force the issue and run the football. You got to commit more resources to stopping that.
Yeah.
What happens when you do that? You can't just drop back and play zone all the time. You got to leave some of your corners, some of your guys in the secondary out on an island, and that's when they're taking those shots. Bama this year has been very good at stopping the run. Bama has been pretty good at playing zone defense against the pass. If Bama is good enough to shut down the run without overcommitting, without doing what I just described, without giving Georgia some favorable matchups that they can take advantage of, that could potentially be a game changer for them. This is why I say I've got all these signals coming in that are in conflict with each other.
Sure.
I like aspects of Georgia, but I could very easily invent a story in which Alabama has a counter and vice versa. I think it's close. I do think there is a revenge factor at play for Georgia.
Sure.
I am absolutely convinced in Gunnar Stockton being the dude, especially with what we saw on the road at Tennessee. I mean, you want to talk about a big balls throw down the sideline to London Humphreys. I've said it until I'm blue in the face. I'll continue to say it.
I hear you.
That was a big-time throw. I like Georgia to win. I got it at 33-24.
Okay, fair enough. We agree.